finally someone gave me some sort of structure, some sort of answer. Do this, and took it and ran with it. And for the next 16, 17 years, I grew one of the largest practices in the country.
You're listening to ChiroCandy, the podcast of sweet chiropractic success. Now, here's your host, Billy Sticker.
Welcome to another episode of the ChiroCandy podcast. Today, I have someone on that I have admired from afar. We were just visiting and realizing that I don't think we've ever actually, if we've had a conversation, it may have been an event just kind of in passing, but we have today with us Dr. Tim Young. Tim, thanks so much for being on today.
I sure do. I love these opportunities. I appreciate you spending time with me.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So you have your event that you do every year, and that's one of the ways I know you, just because I see that, that event's been, we've been doing this for 10 years now, and we see that, every year I see that you're promoting that event, in the summer, but then you also do, some coachings and everything. Let's kind of get back. What's some of your backstory? What got you into chiropractic, and then eventually what got you into coaching?
Well, okay, that's a whole book. I'll try to make a long story pretty short. I grew up, I'm originally from Southwest Missouri, Springfield area, and my uncle was a chiropractor, and I started seeing him. I think I was in the fifth grade when we first moved to Springfield, and it just, go see Uncle Bill, get your back popped. A bike wreck or football or wrestling, and I did all the sports, and you go see your Uncle Bill. And so I kind of was raised within chiropractic, not the philosophy, not the technique, just went to a chiropractor because your uncle was a chiropractor. And then when I was 18 years old, I was in a real severe car accident and broke my back and broke my lower back and did a whole bunch of stuff. And my uncle, they told me at the accident, the neurosurgeons, the orthopedic come in, and I had just started lifting weights. So, I decided I was going to go from a scrawny 150-pound kid. I wanted to be a bodybuilder. Long story, but this is what I was doing. And I had just started working out that summer, and I had the ball rolling and everything was going well. Well, the doctors come in and said, well, you're done. The bodybuilding days are over. You're never going to lift heavy weights again. And you're probably going to limp for the rest of your life. This is, they tell this 18-year-old this, right? So I go see my Uncle Bill, and I told him what they had told me, and he had a few choice words, and he's what we called an old hillbilly chiropractor. He was just funny. He just smiled and said, lay down. So he starts adjusting me. 6 weeks later, I'm back in the gym. 6 months later, I compete, and I win Teenage Miss Missouri, and I competed for 20 some years in bodybuilding and powerlifting and strongman, all those things. So planted a seed right here. Well, joined the Navy, while I was in the Navy, I started having some issues. I was actually wanting to go into the SEALs. I wanted to be special forces. And of course, all the training, I started having a lot of lower back pain. Of course, I'm 22 years old. I'm not a chiropractor. I don't know any of this. My back hurts, right? Well, they tell me that, they do all this CAT scans and MRIs, and they said, well, listen, we know you have a problem. We're not sure what it is. This was the summer of 1988. We don't know what the problem is, but we're recommending that we do exploratory back surgery. Well, I'm 22 years old and I'm not very smart, but I do know that exploratory back surgery should never be put together. And I said, no, ma'am, we're not doing that. And she was confused, but she said, well, the only thing we can do is, send you home. And at that moment, I tell the story, a lot of people don't get it, but at that moment I was touched and said, you'll be a chiropractor. I knew, right? I don't know why. I knew, I just did, right? Fast forward, I get out of the Navy. I work all summer. I start my undergrad that next January and went straight through till I got my chiropractic degree. Now, there's a whole lot of story between that and coaching, but I'm an associate for the first 3 years, like many doctors probably listen to this. I was an associate doctor. I met my wife. We got married. 3 kids. Associate doctor, struggle. And then I joined my first coaching group in 1999. Late 98, early 99. And it was finally someone gave me some sort of structure, some sort of answer, do this, and took it and ran with it. And for the next 16, 17 years, I grew one of the largest practices in the country. I mean, we went from, you know, not seeing very many to, I think, I was at one time I was seeing 240 to 260 a day. And that was all just adjusting. It's not, I have spent in my life in 30 years of practice, I've spent $0 on marketing. Website, everybody has that. But when I started,
Yeah.
we didn't even have the internet, right? So, um, that being said, I grew this practice and I grew it. I built this foundation of what we have based off of our philosophy, our principles, and I mean I am a stickler on technique. That is my a specific intentional adjustment. My teacher was Hugo Gibson, teacher at Cleveland. If some of you that might be watching this, if you ever went to Cleveland back in the day, Hugo is the man. He is the godfather of technique. I actually got to spend some time with him. He's 84, and I went to his house and adjusted him. It was kind of cool. But so I built this practice off of those basic principles, and then what happened was the coaching group that I was in, I kind of outgrew that group, and then a lot of the people that were in that group also came to me and said, "Hey, you're the one that's helped us. You're the one we believe in. We want you to teach us." Kind of a short version of, and then fast forward, here we are. We have, I don't know how many different countries throughout the world I work with. I've been just today, I was on the phone with Great Britain, Australia, and Amsterdam, not to mention all the states, here. And so we've taken this thing worldwide because now we can do everything online. So it's really exploded. And again, what's great is it doesn't matter. Chiropractic, if you teach the true principles of chiropractic to build a practice with, it doesn't matter if you're in Oklahoma where I am, or Texas where you are, or if you're in Amsterdam, or I've got doctors in Malaysia, I got doctors in India, I got doctors in Germany. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. People understand the principles of chiropractic, and everyone grows from that. So that is a very, as far as the coaching, a very long version or short version of a long story.
Of a long story. Yeah, that's great. Actually, your name came up recently, Dr. Stephen Bearden.
Oh yeah. He was an associate of mine.
Excuse me. Yeah, he's working with one of my old chiropractors here.
Okay.
They were a client, Dr. Jeremy De Los Santos, here in Montgomery, Texas. They were a client before we moved here. And then we started seeing him, and then he sold to Tabor, and so now there's all kinds of other stuff going on. But he is a great guy. And he's
I've known him for years. Well, what was funny was when I was still competing, we trained at the same gym. I was bodybuilding and he was powerlifting, and we became friends. And then he became a patient, and then because of me, he went to chiropractic school. Then he got out of school, moved to Colorado, moved back to Oklahoma. He worked for me for, gosh, I don't know how many years, 5 or 6 years, 7 years, I don't know, a long time. And then him and his wife decided to, she was ready for a change of scenery, so they moved. But yeah, he's a great guy. He did a good job, and I'm glad that he's doing well down there.
Yeah, yes, super guy. So, what started Focus OKC?
Okay, so this is one of my favorite stories to tell. So, who? Obviously, everybody knows who Billy DeMoss is, and
Sure.
At Cal Jam. And I went to my very first Cal Jam, and what was funny was this was so many years ago. So we're 16, 17, 18, 19. So it's first Cal Jam was probably between 19 and 20 years ago, right? And I found it. This was back when we had AOL dial-up, right? That was the internet. And I got on the internet. It's like this new thing that you can search things, right? And I put in chiropractic philosophy because I don't know if everybody can see this, but my green books are up there.
Nice.
I got the first adjustment. I had that commissioned by Frank Arnold. The very first adjustment. That's one of my prized possessions. I surround myself right in front of me. I got a picture of Dee Dee, BJ. I'm surrounding myself with chiropractic. I'm searching for chiropractic philosophy, and this thing, Dead Chiropractic Society, come up, and I was like, I'd never had heard of this, and then Cal Jam. So I go to the very first Cal Jam meeting, seminar out there, and I think at that time there was probably 1,200 people. It was insane, and I had been in such a kind of a bubble, a chiropractic bubble. My uncle was a chiropractor. Then I go to chiropractic school, which is your own little bubble. We don't really venture out that much. Then I joined the coaching group, and it was really a bubble. It was more like a cult at times, and that's all you know, right? But I in my heart, I knew there was more. I mean, I was searching for. There's a bigger picture to this thing called chiropractic than I'm finding. So I go to CalJam, and I'm sitting in this huge auditorium, and I don't know if you've ever been to CalJam, but it's this big performing arts center out in California, out in Orange County, and I'm looking around, and there are thousands of people that are crazy like I am. Like this philosophy and the speakers, and then Billy DeMoss is insane, right? If you know Billy,
Yep.
and so I went. So that year I went. The second year I took 3 of my friends, and I said, "You got to go to this." So there was 4 of us there. The next year there was 20 of us. The next year I brought 200 people to this event. I filled out 2 rows. Well, I got to thinking about it. I said, this is kind of crazy that, and I know there was other seminars that I just didn't know about. There was DE, and there's other groups that I didn't know about. Like I said, I was in such a bubble. Well, in my brain, I'm thinking, well, I have to wait till February every year to get this. So one year, 16 years ago, it'll be 16 years ago. Be in about a month. I was right here where I'm living, right where my house is. This was just a field. I bought this land, and I'm driving down our street here called Wilshire, and I'm on my bike, and I used to do a lot of road biking. And there was from my house out to the end of the road and back was 30 miles, 32 miles, and where you turned around and came back. And I got to the end, and I'm just cycling, right? I get to the end as I turn around, like BJ talks about thought flashes, like that. Focus. Fountain of Chiropractic Understanding. That's what FOCUS stands for. By the time I got home, I already had my talk. I knew who I wanted to speak. I had this whole vision of starting this seminar. And it's one of my favorite stories to tell. My wife likes to tell it. I come through that door and I go, babe, I have an idea. We're going to start a seminar. We're calling it FOCUS. And I had all this stuff, and I'm wound up. She goes, okay, so we're going to do this next year? No, we're going to do this in about 3 months. We're going to do this in July. She went, oh, Lord. In 90 days, we had over 300 people show up to our first meeting.
That's great.
And we had no clue what we were doing. It's funny. One of my favorite stories to tell about that, I invited Billy DeMoss, Brad Glowacki, my teacher, Dr. Gibson, Sennett, Rob Sennett was there, Eric Russell from Parker. That was our speakers. Mm-hmm. And Billy DeMoss showed up, and he walks in. He goes, okay, here's my PowerPoint. And I went, PowerPoint? We don't have no PowerPoint. What? I didn't have a screen. I didn't have anything. It was we're just talking, right? We're talking chiropractic. So he ended up taking his PowerPoint and writing all of his notes down on a 3x5 cards and reading. And he was doing like Letterman. He would just throw them whenever he got done. It turned into a whole thing. But it'll be 16 years ago, and it's turned into something very special. We have speakers from all over the world. We got flying in from different countries. We got people that come and observe, and it's one big family. So FOCUS has turned into a 2-day chiropractic celebration, philosophy, and there's just a little bit of everything. But I bring in a lot of the big speakers, but I have a lot of chiropractors that I work with that are the silent giants. Shannon Black is one of my talk about all them. If I say Shannon Black, you probably don't know who that is. But she's a chiropractor in Boulder, Colorado, that went from 40 a week suicidal, overweight young lady to 350 a week, all cash practice with 1 CA, crushing it. She just bought a mountain house. I mean, and she has 3 rooms. She adjusted it. She has the Mabel room, the BJ room, and the DD room. And she goes room to room to room, and nice. She calls herself a green book thumping, subluxation slaying chiropractor. I mean, but when you hear her speak, you just feel chiropractic, and that's what the event is about. It's about celebrating our history, celebrating our principles, celebrating the love for what we get to do. So that's what FOCUS is.
That's great. What a fantastic story. So I know you don't know this. Most of the listeners have heard me share this before, but why I got into chiropractic, I used to sell rare coins, gold, silver, platinum.
Oh, wow.
Did that for a long time. Was really getting burnt out. And there was a chiropractor in our area who had multiple locations, was looking for somebody to come help with marketing. And I ended up going to work there. One of my dad's closest friends growing up was a chiropractor. He was actually president of the Texas Chiropractic Association several years. But he didn't do a very good job educating me on what chiropractic was.
Yeah.
I'd hurt myself twice in the gym doing military dumbbell presses, because I thought if I turned my head, I was going to get an extra rep in,
Yeah.
Handful of adjustments, slap me on the butt. Hey, if you need anything else, let me know. That's all I knew.
That's typical chiropractic. Yeah.
I go to work for this other chiropractor, and it was totally different. He was very dipped, if you will. Like all of a sudden, I saw incredible life change with these patients, and I was good. Like we doubled the volume in both offices we had. I started doing all our talks out in the community. I did our in-office workshops. I started doing our day ones and day twos. The only thing I didn't do was adjust, but I fell in love with the profession. And so that's my heart in this. That's why our business started as a podcast. What can I give back to this profession? Because I think it's incredible.
Yeah.
I think like a marketer. So it's like, how can I just help chiropractors spread their word? Spread this great word, because there's never been a better time in history to be able to do that, to use these tools we have available. So, but I love just the philosophy of everything. And I love the whole ready, fire, aim approach that you took. No, we're doing this in 90 days. We're just going to figure it out.
That's how I do everything. It's my son's wrestling coach used to say, you got to learn to pull the trigger and aim later. You got to go. And I started here. You talk about state association. I started our state association here in Oklahoma Chiropractic Association. I started it. I did the same thing. Excuse me. I did the same thing. We're starting this right now. And started a coaching group. Let's go do this. And then that's in order to be successful in anything you do, you can talk about it, you can plan on it, you can commiserate about it, but you got to put things into action. And I think that's what I teach a lot of the doctors that I coach with and I work with. That's what we learn.
Yeah, I love the saying, you cannot steer a parked car.
No, I love that. Yeah, that's
you've got to take action. It's easier. Growing up, we used to have horses. We used to rodeo and not team roped and all this stuff. But, like a horse inside of a stall is no good. Yeah. And that's we have these ideas, these things we want to do, but we just sit there on the couch. We don't do them because we don't know. I don't know exactly what to do next.
Where a lot of chiropractors struggle is because it's and a lot of it is this fear of judgment from patients or peers or society or doctors or whatever, and then that fear is paralyzing, and then they don't ever do anything, right? They just accept what happens.
So true.
And you can't.
So true. So one of the things that we teach is we teach chiropractors, you've got to be doing some videos. Like people that drive past your office every day, they need what it is that you do. They just don't know what you do. Yeah. And just do these videos, and we help them with like what kind of videos to do. But what we found is the reason people don't like doing videos is fear. And what they're truly afraid of is what you just said, is being judged, typically by peers or other people in the medical profession. Well, and it keeps them inside their head.
Yeah, and it goes even deeper than that. It's one thing to do a video and be judged, but then when they come into the office, I don't know how many doctors I work with, like they don't, and somebody might be listening to this, well, I don't want to put my patients on a treatment plan. Why? And they're going to come up with all these excuses. They're going to come up with all these reasons, these alibis why they don't do it. But the fact is, their fear is they're going to be judged for trying to sell something. I don't sell anything. Right? It's ridiculous. If somebody breaks their arm and they go see the doctor, well, you need to wear that cast 8 to 12 weeks. That's how long it takes to heal. He doesn't say, well, how long do you want to wear it? Or I'll tell you what, it's cheaper if you only wear it for a week. So let's do that. Man, that's what chiropractors do. Well, you know what? Like you said, that one chiropractor the first one that you went to, a couple adjustments. If it's feeling better, let me know. that's ridiculous. That's not appropriate. But the reason chiropractors do not, first of all, they don't understand chiropractic, but then they do not put people on a care plan is because they're afraid that when they say that they're going to be fear of that fear of judgment, that they think they're selling them something. It's about selling anything. I don't sell anything in my practice. I tell them the truth, and then we deliver on it. But it's physiology. It's no different than if I'm a personal trainer and somebody comes to me and say, look, I want to get stronger. I want to get healthier. I want to get in shape. And I say, well, let's work out a couple times a week for a couple of weeks and let's see how you do. You're not getting any physiological change, right? And so,
Right.
That fear of judgment, not only in marketing and doing the videos. I know you probably say I do videos all the time. I mean, I'm promoting my coach group, and what's crazy is I'll have doctors reach out to me, just like your clients, your patients. I have doctors reach out to me from other countries that I've never even met before. Said I saw a video and what you said resonated with me. Can you help me? Right? Because they saw me put a video on YouTube or on Facebook or whatever. It's no different. It's no different. The landscape's changed. When I went into practice 30 years ago, like I told you earlier, we didn't even have the internet. There was no
Right.
videos to be done, right? You had to go out and actually introduce yourself. But the landscape's changed. My daughter's a chiropractor, and she's killing it. And she is like Instagram queen. She's figured out how to get on Instagram and make her own videos, and she does different things at her office, and she's been doing that. And good Lord, they're seeing over 500 a week, and most of those are babies. It's kind of
Yeah,
insane
I
what
love
she's
that.
doing. And she's been in practice 7 years now, I think, and she's taken it and ran, right? And so to your point, they got to find you. They got to know where you are. And what I've noticed is when you got all these young doctors coming, and this is for the older doctors that are watching this that you're working with. Back when I was doing it, we didn't have this stuff, but now these young doctors coming out of school, all they know is social media. They was raised with it, right? And so they come out of school, they would rather get on their phone and do Instagram, and so all this stuff, and so your public is seeing that. Well, if you're not a part of that, you're missing out. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, there's a Grant Cardone statement that is so true. Best known beats best.
Exactly.
And that's unfortunate, but it's true. Whenever
Gary
somebody
Vaynerchuk.
needs something,
Gary
they're
Vaynerchuk
going,
says that a lot.
yeah, who's top of mind?
Yeah, I know
That's
you know who
who,
Gary Vee is. If you're in the marketing,
oh, of
you know
course,
who
yeah.
Gary Vee is, and he is the guru of all that stuff. And I've listened to him a lot, and he's like omnipresent. That's why I went back into lecturing again and doing public speaking and doing my adjusting courses and stuff. If you're not in front of people, they don't know who you are. I adjusted. What's crazy? I adjusted somebody at Cal Gym 10 years ago at one of the seminars. I adjusted that, was standing in line. I used to go upstairs and say, if you want an adjustment, come upstairs, and I'd have a line. I adjusted 120 people in 40 minutes one time. It was insane. But I had someone I adjusted in that line said, you adjusted me, and I started following you, and I wanted to come be a part of your coaching group, because anyone that can adjust with that much intention, that's what I want to be a part of. So to your people watching this podcast, and to your thinking about doing the marketing, this is an opportunity for you to tell who you are, and then they begin to trust you. And then when they come in, everything you say, they're going to believe, because they already trusted you in the first place.
Yeah. And I'll say this, it's not even about marketing. I mean, look, we would love to work with everybody, but even aside from that, I know people are listening to this. They're listening to you, and there's a lot of offices out there struggling.
There
And
is.
so
It's
they're
crazy.
looking, I need help. What hurts me is seeing these chiropractors leave the profession because they just
It's
don't.
more than the profession knows too.
Just because they don't realize what they have. The thing is that they have every single thing they need to be successful. It's like there was a scripture in Isaiah, it talks about God says, my thoughts are higher than your thoughts. If you go on right after that, it says, just as the rain and the snow brings forth water for the seed. And one day I was thinking about that, and it's like, we all have to have rain. We don't like it, but it's part of it. But God doesn't give us the harvest. He gives us all the materials we need to go and do the stuff. He needs us to do it. So it's like, you've got the education, you may need work on your technique, You may need work on your mindset. You may need work on your certainty, but you've got more than anybody else out there. Like there's other people in your, what you have is enough. If you just use it, if you put all these pieces together, you have the ingredients to make the cake, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
You're absolutely right. We have so it's interesting you said that. I was just thinking about something. We've got a workshop, coming up here in Oklahoma City in 2 weeks. We have an adjusting class on February 28th, and then I got a workshop on March 1st, and they can go on the website if and the workshop, if you've never been, I don't charge for it. It's at no charge, but it's a full day of everything chiropractic. It's a lot, but one of the thing I'm going to open with, the very first thing I'm going to say is, as chiropractors, we've been given a gift. God gave us this gift.
So true.
And a gift is of knowledge of where true health comes from. Now, not everybody has this gift. The general public, people walking around, they don't know. They watch TV, they think it comes from Advil or whatever.
Right.
But as chiropractors, God said, okay, you're chosen. I've chosen you. That day in the Navy, when I was standing there being told that you're going to either have surgery, and she said, no, you're going to go home. At that moment, here's your gift. Take it. And so that gift of knowledge and understanding is this. But then my next question after I talk about that, I said, okay, this is your gift. So what? Who cares? Why do you care about another human being? Why do you care about another person? What's the point of having this gift if you're not actually going to take it and use it, to your point? If you're not going to implement and take this gift and serve with it, then what's the good of having it in the first place? Right. That's what a lot of chiropractors don't understand. And again, it goes back to that fear of judgment. I've been, like I told you earlier, I had 16 coaching calls this morning, and I said the same thing over and over and over because people are so afraid. What they do is they talk too much in their practice. They idle conversation. They try to fill a void. In my coaching group, just so everybody knows, I'm the only one that I know of. I don't think anybody else does this. That I actually have video recordings, talking about videos, in my office, doing a consultation, exam, a report of findings, adjusting. And one of the videos that I've shared with everybody is I saw 44 patients in an hour, and that was with one report and one consultation, a new exam in 1 hour. And I saw 113 in 3 hours that morning. Right? And it sounds crazy until you actually can see it. If somebody can visualize it and see that, well, where did all those people come from? It's because I'm telling them the truth. And in and out in about a minute in my office, I have one room, in and out. They get their adjustment. Well, chiropractors have a tough time with that. And we're going back to kind of what you were talking about. I use this all morning long. I use this analogy. If you are driving down the street, you get off your flight. Let's say you get off a flight and it's 1 o'clock in the morning and you're driving home, and there's a house on fire, and you start banging on the front door to get these people out. Are they mad at you about how hard you and how loud you banged on that door? Are they upset about that? Not at all. They're grateful. They're grateful that you had enough conviction and enough integrity to see that they have a problem, and you banged on that door loud to get them to save them. But if you was to bang on that door in the middle of the night with no reason, no purpose, they're pissed because you woke them up for no reason.
Right.
When you are talking to a chiropractic patient, it's exactly the same thing. You are saving them from themselves. You are saving them from an internal fire. That joint is not moving appropriately. It is breaking tissue down. It's causing inflammation and pain and destruction of the bone, destruction of the cartilage. It's happening because that's that stress in the spine. Your job as a chiropractor is to locate that, introduce motion, and remove that stress. And it's not. But if you go into it, like, well, it'd be nice if we did this. That's like saying, well, it'd be nice. Listen, hey, wake up. If you want to, you can leave. Your house was on fire, but that's on you. We wouldn't do that. But yet chiropractors do that in their practice all day long. They don't take their practice, they don't take their patient's health serious enough. And your patients are only going to respect you. They're only going to take you serious enough as much as you do as a chiropractor. If you respect you and you take what you do that serious, so will they. But if you're just like you said, that first chiropractor you went to, Come in when you want to. Well, then that's what they take it to. And to me, that's why chiropractic offices fail, and they're everywhere. They're everywhere. I tell people this all the time. I've said this for years, and people don't like it. Chiropractors don't like this. It makes them mad. It's a fact. 90%, 10% of the chiropractors are seeing 90% of the patients, which means the other 10% are for the other 90%, and it's sad. When you see the average chiropractor sees 60 to 80 a week, that's the average. I see that in the first 2 or 3 hours, right? And so what makes me different? I'm just a chiropractor. I got 2 hands and a heart. I'm no better than anybody else, except for the way I bang on a door is a little bit different than the way that everybody else does.
Yeah. You were talking about knowledge. One of the things I talk about is the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Sometimes we think it's the same. It's not. Knowledge is information. Wisdom is application.
Exactly.
You can know, but if you don't do anything with that knowledge, actually Scripture calls us a 4-letter F word. It says we're a fool if you know and you don't do. That's the wisdom.
This. I don't know, it might have been Cordone or one of those guys we were talking about. I've heard this so many times, and I never thought about it. Some of the smartest people on the planet are college professors. What do they do with it? They make $60,000 a year, and they just trudge through life. I mean, maybe they're happy with that, but that's not the way I want to live, right? You got to take what you have and actually apply it. But that's the biggest question, though. Is I think that's what the workshop. This next workshop, the whole theme is, who are you? What do you do? And why do you do it? Now, there's some how in there too, but who are you? And this is my philosophy, and this is for anybody listening to this, and this is the way I look at it. And I know you would agree with this. And I've been saying this a lot lately. Who you are is so much more important than what you do, because what you do is a direct reflection upon who you are. And so
100%.
And you can't, if you show up to your practice on fire, philosophically, principle-based, loving people, and have a strong belief in who you are as a human being, that's what you deliver. And that's what they receive, and the practice explodes. You can't slow it down. But if you show up uncertain, insecure, not really very proud of who you are as a human being, and then you try to make an adjustment, well, that's what you deliver. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
Yeah, so good. Tim, how can people find out more about the different workshops you have going on, find out about your coaching, and then even Focus OKC?
Well, I appreciate that. So the easiest way is my website is Focus, Focus, F-O-C-U-S, foundations.com. And then if you go onto the website, there's a link, a little tab that says events, and it's got listed all the events coming up. I don't know if you got international doctors, but I'll be Oklahoma City in 2 weeks. Then I'll be in Sweden, coming up to Sweden. And then we've got Italy, we've got Australia coming up. I got Canada coming up in the fall. We're being in somewhere in Canada. I can't remember which province. Then I'm in Connecticut in September. I'm all over the country. And all of my speaking events are listed. And then the coaching information, if anybody has any questions about the coaching program that we have, it's called Focus Foundations. Or they can just reach out to me on Facebook, Tim Young, and send me a message. I get messages from doctors all the time that aren't part of the coaching group, or just, hey, I got a question. I'm one of those people that will do anything for anyone. And when I say, let me know how I can help, it's truly what I mean. And with anything, if you're a student, or if you're a young doctor, or if you just got a question about anything, reach out. We have technique classes, we got philosophy classes, we got procedural things, or just if you want to talk about just how to be a better human being. That's my world. So that's how you found me.
All right. Thank you so much for being on today.
No, I'm honored.